Florida. It's very much our pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the people at the space. Thank you for the food. And yeah, thank you for the good time.
This guy.
And it's so much less confusing when lines are drawn like that. The people are One pedal's made of silver. Lots of companies, strike machines. Drinking coffee in the morning, rolling on airplane, lost glasses, hanging house in the central air, central heat. Particle board, the doors are locked for safety. And the water and the shoes. Passengers are black light sweatshirt. I do what you do. I'm feeling in the car. The floor, I can drink what I know. I just sleep in the morning. pretending to be astronauts, police officers, and firemen. Oh good God, holy shit, the joke's on us, not on them. Just pretending to be astronauts, police officers, and firemen. And everybody's watching lead singer in the band. The guitar's exploded to a drum beat that's driving. It's pretty fucking boring, isn't it? And all the things we ask of all the ways we like for it to be. They're just drunken conversations, all the lyrics sung, and you talk of our love so desperately. Like I believe in a power that is othered by the people. I believe in an art that cannot be compromised. I believe I will endure and I will overcome. And I will fight till I no longer remember the reasons.
Thank you all very much again for having us. It's really a pleasure and honor to be here again, and thank you very much to the people who put on the show. This is our last song. To come back again soon as our times.
C'est très chouette! Un moment.
Je pense que vous êtes super chouette. Nous aimons Poitiers. Merci beaucoup.
What?
Are we close enough?
No. Coca-Cola, fuck.
Against me.
So, first classical introduction, presentation of the band. Where do you come from, etc. Who are you?
My name's Tom, and I play guitar and I sing.
Je suis Warren. Je suis le batteur.
Je suis Andrew. Je suis bass.
Yeah.
How do you say we're from?
Nous habitons
Gainesville.
dans Gainesville, Floride, les États-Unis.
What's he saying?
You never know.
It's great to speak French, but you can speak English, no problem.
I need practice.
So, my question is a general question. So it's what about punk? The word punk. Are you a punk band, a punk rock band? What is punk today for you in 2004?
I think it has so many interpretations. It means a million things to a million people, and I don't know.
For you?
For me,
What does it mean for you?
I think we're a punk band, and I also think that we're just a band at the same time. So, just in time. Speaking of punk, James Bowman.
What?
That's your name.
Yep, that is my name. Are you a punk, James? What is punk?
That's the
Yeah.
question. That's the question.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I am. Why not? Are you? I'm a punk. Are you? No, you're a hippie.
I'm a punk.
Sure. I don't know.
Amongst, I think the word punk is a very loose word.
Yeah, very, very.
Very loose word.
I think that when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old, that I felt totally fine and excited with saying that I was a punk and a punk rocker. And it's unfortunate that there's some people out there in the world who call themselves punk that make me hesitate to call myself a punk.
Exactly.
Which sucks, because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't let other people run it for you. You should define it on your own. But at the same time, that's the way it is.
But is it just the music, or is it more of music?
I think
It's
think
way more.
Yeah, it's definitely more. I mean, I think it's, I think it's not only like, music. I think it's, an attitude, and I think it's a way of life, and all. It's a way of life, man. Like the Casualties said.
I'd say music is probably the least important aspect of punk. Does that make sense? Just.
I think setting a definition on
Yeah.
what the music is, like saying that punk music has to sound like this, completely defeats the purpose
That's
of
not
what
punk.
punk is. Yeah. Punk music should be able to sound however, and it just, so if it can sound like whatever, then it's definitely an attitude, and it's definitely a way of life and a way of thinking. So
Yeah, that's where the lifestyle comes in, where you do what you want, and to me that's what punk rock is. I don't know whether you think it's punk as fuck to work in a kitchen for the rest of your life, or whether you think it's punk to go on tour for the rest of your life. Just, it's what you want to do. I think it's a very individual thing that cannot be truly defined, ever.
But there is a difference with rock and roll.
I believe in both.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Like, you can see a movie that you think is really rock and roll, or a movie that you think is really punk, and I think it's only your experience and what the word has come to mean to you over time. And I don't know, they're both really big words, and I think maybe punk has more of a conscience than rock and roll. There's maybe a difference.
I think that when rock and roll first started and everything like that, like everything that it was, rebellious, and like it was dangerous, and like it challenged things. And then it became, you know, like bands like fucking Led Zeppelin and like, you know, The Who or whatever, you know, like in these gross, like, you know, like self-indulgent rock star rock bands. And punk, you know, came about rebelling against that and trying, and in a way it was just like, you know, going back to exactly what rock and roll was in the first place, you know, so it's kind of the embodiment of that spirit, you know. But what's unique about punk is that you can have bands, say they're punk bands, and then they can go on to become those same self-indulgent rock star bands, and punk can regenerate itself and have a new underground punk movement come to call those bands on their shit and you know, and still maintain what makes punk important.
Un connard qui fait chier, quoi. C'est hallucinant, quoi. Oh, toujours un connard.
C'est la source à la bière.
The punk is about politics.
Well, yeah, I think punk is inherently like political in the sense that it was, you know, supposed to be something that's challenging, you know, the status quo, and supposed to be rebelling against that, you know. I mean, and it's also, you know, you're using political in a really broad sense, you know, like you're not defining which way it's political. Like I think that like punk is specifically supposed to be left wing, you know, like as far left as possible, you know, like if not anarchist, you know, like, and, I mean, but I don't think that you can be a Republican or right wing and be punk rock.
Yeah.
But that's still being political if you are, you know what I mean. So it's important to clarify the two.
Des questions sur la musique, sur le punk, sur... No question, okay. And what can you tell me about your, comment on dit, passage de changement de label, about your change of record house?
Of what?
Je sais pas comment dire.
Ils ont pas.
The fact of no ID to Fat Track.
What about it? With your the reason and the change for you? What's it change for you?
Really no reason. They just asked if we'd like to do a record, and we were like, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's, you know, no further than that. We have no problem with No Idea. They're, you know, good friends, and, you know, we're going to continue to put out records with No Idea. And Fat, you know, we've become good friends with everybody who works there, and, you know.
When you record, when you make a record for Fat Track, there are no contract. You sing nothing. It's just only.
I mean, they clarify like the way it's gonna be. They say, you know, we're gonna press, you know, this record, and you'll get X amount of money for each record that's sold, you know, like, and they outline that for you. But it's not like we have to do 3 records or, you know, 4 records or 2 records even. It's just we're putting out a record, you know. And if we want to do another record, they'll do another record, but we don't have to, you know. We aren't bound. Or,
It's you just call them a one-off,
Yeah.
one-off deal. Do you want to do this record? Okay, record it, release it. Do you want to do the next record? Maybe. All right.
Better distribution, or?
yeah, they have definitely better distribution.
And better conditions to record, maybe?
They have more money, you know. I mean, it's just natural in the sense of also, like, you know, Fat is in San Francisco, and it's, you know, like VAR at No Idea has said it, that it's a lot easier to sell a lot of records coming from California and San Francisco than Gainesville, Florida, you know, like, and, you know, Fat, more people work at, you know, they have more departments of, like, people doing different things. Like, they have people specifically to help you with artwork if you need it. They have people specifically, like, trying to get interviews for you. They have people specifically doing mail order, you know. There's just more people working there, so. But they also treat their employees, like, amazing. You know, they do profit sharing, everybody has health care, and they pay everybody, you know, awesome, and everybody gets, you know, good vacation each year, you know, like, which... And it's all punk kids, you know,
American
so
jobs. So.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, like how a punk rock record label should be run, you know, like, and then I think it's pretty amazing that you can do that, you know, is that you can start a band and then start a record label, and then from that record label employ your friends, you know, and give everybody who's your friend a good living.
What is your favorite band on Fat Track Records?
I think Dillinger 4. Or Propaganda. Yeah.
None more black.
Yeah. I like to swing another. Yeah, I like swinging others.
What's it?
I do
Lawrence
really-
Arms.
Really good with other.
Yeah, Lawrence Arms too.
And
Strung out for me.
Subhumans or?
you think
Yeah, Subhumans are.
is there more people at the show now that you are on Fat Wreck, maybe?
I think part of it is we tour all the time, and so like the third time we go to a city, there's more people than the first time we went to that city, and so we've just been going along. So a lot of that's just natural of being on tour all the time and playing the same place over and over and a word of mouth. And then part of it I think is the distribution, people hearing it through Fat that wouldn't have found it otherwise. But I think it's both. There have been more people at shows.
Yeah. But it's not like we went to a town one time and there was 15 people there, and then we put out a record on Fat. Now we go there and there's 2 million. Like it's it's a reasonable amount.
We tour all the time, like just
But
Continuing.
in London you have 500 people.
yeah. That's what
I
I'd say
think
about
yeah,
500
somewhere.
people. A lot of people. And last time there were 150, maybe. But it's been a whole year since we've been. So
Over a year.
Yep.
Okay. So you came, you already came in Europe, in France, and I want your opinion, your feeling about the difference between America and Europe, with in point of view of institution, of people, and more particular of punk rock scene.
Well, this
Very big
place,
difference.
yeah, this place is a good example. Specifically, like something like this, I've never been to anything like this in the United States at all. Like a
Or
public,
Canada.
yeah, a public space that can provide resources and a venue for bands to practice, for art studio, art gallery, for dance parties, for a record store, for bands to play, and all have people being paid for their work on keeping the space going. Like that is amazing. Like I've tried to work on a space and get grants from the city to pay for the space to run and to pay to book shows, and they don't care about you. They don't want to give money to, they want to give money to a church group or something. They don't want to give it to some kids that want to set up punk rock shows. It's not a priority. And I think that's overall, like, it's more of either people doing shows in their house, like in their living room or something like that, if they're going to do it in a DIY way, or it becomes a business and there's a club where they have to make sure that they can make money on the bar and they can make money at the door, and it becomes like there's not as much of like having a squat or having a publicly funded place where money isn't the main motivation. So it's a big difference.
There are not there is not a middle between the DIY scene and the business.
There's no middle.
Yeah.
Yes. True. It's very true.
It's,
One or the other. Yeah.
No.
You rare occurrences there are in Philadelphia. I would say that's the middle ground, but that's the only.
Well,
They're very
Gilman
rare.
Street, and
Very rare.
Yeah.
And the Vera Project.
The
in
Vera
Seattle.
Project in Seattle, Gilman. But still, it's. I mean, if you did a tour of just the middle places, you would tour maybe 5 venues in America, and yeah, the middle's pretty much almost non-existent.
Difference in the DIY scene, America and here.
Well,
Here they take better care. Like, over in America, we've showed up to shows before, and they expect. Okay, say we're from Florida and we play a DIY show in Idaho or California, and they don't have a PA or microphones or anything, and they expect the band to have it. And you're like, we're from Florida, 3,000 miles away.
I think
There's more
that
responsibility here.
I think that the DIY culture in America's attitude is very reflective upon like just the overall attitude in America of everything being very disposable, and that bands, it does not matter, like if one band comes, there'll always be another band coming, like that it's just nothing fucking really matters all that much, like so in a way like there's almost no quality control, and people don't care, like I mean they just want to fucking hang out, get drunk, and
Just consumption.
yeah, exactly. Like they'll move on, next band, like.
And about the organization, about food, about sleeping, etc.
What's that?
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing with the middle ground of venues. It does exist, but it's rare.
Yeah.
It's a rarity.
Very
That's not to, it's not to say that there isn't some people, who actually do care, and actually like do like have the shit together, but the majority of people do not. So.
And
That's why Europe, I think, blows all of our minds. This is our second time here, and it's equally as amazing as the first time, because all this food, the sound system.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
okay.
We're moving over here. We're gonna live with you.
In here.
Yeah.
It's a surprise for me to when you say it's amazing again for you in USA. It's all the time roads. It's very DIY for you again in USA.
Now,
Or
like when we tour,
sometimes it's good conditions
half and half.
with food and good sleeping.
As far as DIY shows in America,
Yeah, no, for you now. Actually, in USA, it's the same thing. You play in the USA or in the
Where do we play?
sometimes with the business scene, if you like. It's
we
not
play-
a good word.
we play clubs like more often than we'll be able to play a DIY space, just because of the amount of people that can fit within a building. Like the last house show we played, I think, was that show in Cleveland, and there was like more than 100 people standing in the yard of the house who couldn't get inside to see the show, and then
it was the size of this room.
yeah, and then we played 3, maybe 4 songs, and they had to clear everyone out of the house because the floor was about to collapse, and they were like, our floor is going to cave in and all these people are going to fall into the basement if you don't leave now. And so even the people that could fit inside only saw 3 songs. Some people, 100 people or so, didn't even see 3 songs. And so the next time we go to Cleveland, we play a club there, and there's not a DIY space of the size with sound that can put on the show. There's nowhere that the show could happen. So it's like, do we turn people away or do we work with the business? And a lot of times when's the next time we'll be there? So
If we work with a business, though, like the terms are very fair. It's not like tickets are $15; they're $6 or $5.
we have some amount of control over to make sure it's an all ages show, to make sure it's a fair ticket price, to make sure that the bouncers aren't beating people up. Like, there's things that we can control.
They usually aren't even bouncers. So.
I think one of the differences too, like, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
Clubs.
Is with the DIY spaces that do exist in America, like, not all of them, but the majority of them, like, people's idea of a DIY show and doing a basement show, one of the problems is, like, like a place like this, it seems like anyone in the community can come to. And you'll go on tours in America playing people's basements and stuff like that, and it's really like, it's like
A private party.
Yeah, it's like a private party. Like, only the cool people in the city who are people's friends who are at the place can come to the show, and it's really elitist, and I don't think that's right. I'd rather go to a place and have anybody, whether or not they're cool or hip, like, be able to come to a show and have a good time and feel comfortable.
You haven't changed anything from, it's the same people who book the tour from this tour? Is it Julian? Have you...
Yeah, well, I mean, Ingo Ebling,
Ingo?
set it up, and he
Yeah.
set it up through Julian, and
Yeah.
but
And have you did some major labels contact you, or did you choose to stay in that DIY scene to
We
tour
choose
in
to do
Europe?
it.
Yeah, we
or
chose to.
you choose-
We
you,
had,
you've been contacted by.
I mean, we could have gone with like we could have had Green Hell do it, or we could have had like
Destiny.
we've had a Destiny. Yeah. Or
Because a lot of fat truck bands tour with big vans, you know.
Yeah.
yeah. Our band's big. The Fiat.
Ducato.
Ducato.
That's not a big van for
What would you
fat
out of
band.
You can
Yeah,
you can
but you
stand
know what?
up inside of it.
That they probably spend.
Where is the bay mix?
They-
Where is the bay mix of the surfboard?
They probably spend a lot of money on their buses, you know,
Yeah, I know.
where I think you just have to be smart about things, you know. You can do it how you want to do it, just do it wisely. Yoda right here.
And we were really
cool.
we were really lucky to get in touch with Ingo and be able to meet him, because we've all fallen in love with Ingo over the past few years.
It's true. People from Hamburg are amazing. Beautiful people. Oh, hey.
And about the beginning of my question, the difference between America and Europe, the society difference, the social difference, there is.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about your?
And I think of it like our country is really young still. Like our country hasn't existed for that long in the big picture, and I think that our country acts like an angry teenager right now and is picking fights with other countries and is stubborn and stupid about a lot of things. And then I think in time, as our country gets a little older, it'll start to say, oh well, healthcare matters, and that's an important thing, that maybe we should worry about that instead of worrying about picking a fight. And just certain responsibilities, like just having a social, just having a good community and social interactions that don't really seem like they take a priority. But I just feel like in time that'll come, and I feel like that's a lot more, like things like healthcare and like providing community spaces and things like that are much more important over here and are considered to be a priority, whereas invading another country maybe doesn't make the top of the list of something you should spend your time and money doing. So.
I think we're just fucking stupid. Because Canada is younger than us, and they have healthcare, and they don't look for fights. I think we're a nation of fucking morons.
I think that's the French descendants really having their impact on the community.
But the French want to separate from the rest of the country of Canada.
Like me.
I don't know. I think I don't know. Our country, I think, was raised on violence. You know, it's still that way. So.
But I think there is a great difference, deep difference is about religion.
Religion?
Yeah. United States, in God we trust. Yeah. In Europe, it's
Well, I mean, if you
it's
go
all
to
story.
if you go to Ireland, there's some pretty intense
it's
religious, situations and different places.
But in
the continent.
the cultural mind of the people is, I think, is a real difference. No.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I'm just separated.
Maybe we live in our own world, but I never encounter people who.
No, Netherlands is a specially country in Europe with religion.
yeah, and I think religion does have more an impact on the government, probably, and like certain things that you see that just don't make any sense, like censoring nudity to such an extreme, like fanatical degree, I think only can come from religious people having an impact on the government and on policy. And like, I remember the first time in Germany seeing a billboard where there's a woman's breast on a billboard on the side of the road, and just being like, wow, that's kind of insane coming from where we grew up, because there's no way that would ever fly. And if you even...
He had never seen a breast before in Germany.
My mind was blown, I tell you what. Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a religious impact, but I think we're so used to it, we kind of don't notice it almost.
In the people mind, not in the institution, in the people.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
We grew up, we grew up where nudity was, just bad, like seeing us. No, I mean, like, being a teenage boy, like a 13-year-old boy, and like seeing your first naked magazine.
You're sharing too much.
Sorry. No, it's not that big of a deal once you grow up, and yeah.
So, had you a religion education, or because here the majority of us have no religion education. We are athei or.
My father is punk rocker.
No, really. I think
just Rolling Stone.
we all went to public school, and there's still separation of church and state that's being worked on to make that non-existent right now, but as I grew up, there was no religion in school.
We pledge allegiance to God every morning.
You didn't have to.
Yeah. I got in trouble at school for not pledging allegiance to God, but I fought it and I came through victorious. It's a really proud moment.
About the religion again, there are a lot of, there are some bands in the punk rock scene with they are religious band.
Yeah, like Christian punk bands.
Yeah, Christian punk bands.
What is your opinion?
Not in France, but.
Oh, it's coming.
I think
Yeah.
it's different.
I think it comes back to like that punk isn't not only a sound, it's also an attitude, a style, a lifestyle, and that's a point that proves it, because for those people, punk is only a sound, and it's only an aesthetic, and it's a combination of chords through pedals at a certain volume, and that's all that makes it punk. That's all that makes it punk, and a certain drum beat. And then if you dig a little deeper, I mean, if you define punk like how we were talking earlier, then you immediately see that there's nothing punk about it, and it's Christian pop music played a little faster by kids a little younger with spikier haircuts,
I don't know. I kind of disagree in a way. I mean, I think that if someone like has certain religious beliefs and that they can respect other people's religious beliefs and not have to push that on them, that it's fine. I think that in punk rock, it's specifically like you single out Christian. Like no one would say the same thing they would about a Christian punk band or anything like that if it was a Jewish punk band or anything like that. It's specifically Christian punk bands, and Christian punks and everything like that are specifically not respected and looked down upon. But if again, like not to just have the other half be a Jewish punk band, but if someone was like, I'm Jewish, no one would give a Jewish person half as much shit as they will a Christian punk.
Yeah, I remember there was a Jewish hardcore band called the Sons of Abraham, and I remember a bunch of people gave them shit because they were really, just their approach, they were really preachy about it. They were really like kind of in your face about it. And it wasn't just like, we're proud of our beliefs. It was like, you should believe what you believe.
I think in punk rock, it's a lot easier to say, man, fuck Christians than it is to say fuck the Jews. Like, you don't say fuck the Jews, and it's fine to say fuck the Christians. I think that just overall in punk rock, like, that people should be tolerant of other people, and you don't have to believe what I believe, and I don't have to believe what you believe, As long as your beliefs aren't imposing on me and mine aren't imposing on you, it's no problem.
Amen. We're a Buddhist punk band.
So what is punk?
Wow, deja vu.
I don't know. We could call Fat Mike and we could ask him.
Question?
Yeah, I want to coming back on the way on the why I want to try to understand why you play this music. It's very original for me because there are between different music and feeling. And have you an idea, you, the band, about your music when the text, music, the record? It's general questions, but more on the band, and that's fine. It's more. Expliquer le processus de création.
Creation process.
Ouais. The
Creation process?
Like, do we have like
when
do we
you
have,
write
like,
the first song together, it was perhaps magic for you. Oh, what song? You what? Personal. I don't know. What is your reaction?
like I don't think we ever had like a vision that we laid out and said like, all right, we have this idea to combine the elements of all these different styles and bring it together to make something nobody's ever heard before. I think we were just playing what sounded good to us, and I guess we're just such gifted musicians with such an inspiration that it came out to be. Huh?
No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't think we set out to sound like anything really in particular. I just, like, I know what I like, and I know when, like, if I play something, I'm like, that sounds good, and then I go with it. If I'm like, that sounds like shit, then I don't go with it. You know?
It's only simple like that.
Mm-hmm.
You start the band with the name Against Me
Yeah.
alone at the beginning?
Yeah, by myself, yeah. Just on an acoustic guitar and, you know, wrote some bad songs. It's gotten better over time. Because the first shit was horrible.
It's a combination of each of you. It's natural for each of you as is a musical culture, and that makes it sounds like this, but you don't look to sound like this or this.
No, I think we all share a common bond that we all like good music. At least we think so.
We have a good amount of common ground musically.
I don't think, like, say Tom, you know, come in and he can play a song acoustically and has words and it sounds good, but then we can all turn it into a fucking, you know, full-blown just like rock song, and there's never any intention to do anything. It just kind of comes out as it comes out. So
I think that each of us, like, whenever I play something, it has to pass me first. I have to think that it sounds good, and then I think that it's a good drum beat, and then it has to pass the three of them also.
then it has to pass the trial by fire.
They all have to think that it sounds good as well. And it's the same thing, like Andrew can play a bass line and he can think it sounds really good, and if somebody says maybe that could be a little better, then
they're wrong.
No, so if I play something and somebody says it sounds bad, then they're wrong.
It goes through 4 checkpoints before it finally becomes a song at the end, and that's our quality control system.
And last question: are you involved in some activities, activism, collective outside the band?
Yeah, we
wish we were.
Personal.
Yeah. We used to be a lot more. You know, like we're on tour like 10 months out of the year. So, you know, like right now we've been on tour since October 10th, and you know, so not being at home in Gainesville, there's no time to be involved in anything. You know, but we've all done like Food Not Bombs. There's a activist space, like independent media center called the Civic Media Center in Gainesville, that we've all been involved in and stuff, or some of us have been involved in. And
we've all set up shows and housed bands, fed bands, taken care of people, booked tours. It's just it's gotten a lot harder just being on the road all the time, where all we see are these faces and a seat in a van, and you know what I mean? Because we never have really access to computers or phones, so it's tough.
We're a traveling musical collective activist group that brings good vibes and high fives to towns across the world.
He just blew my mind.
And do you have jobs in the United States? Or?
No.
No. It's not a trick question.
No, I worked once when we were home last time.
It doesn't count as a job.
No, any rightful employer would not hire any of us.
Have you in the house?
Huh?
Have you in the house? When you coming back from tour, where do you sleep? Where?
Oh, we all have very.
He sleeps with his wife.
We all have very
They sleep with
cheap
each other.
Me and Tom live in a house together.
I sleep with my bong.
We're very lucky in that we have very, very cheap rent.
Yeah, Gainesville's rent is like nothing.
So we can afford to do this, kinda, sorta, maybe.
It ain't bad.
Life's good. We're in France right now, you know, drinking wine.
Super chouette.
Super chouette. Bordeaux.
Just a word to conclude. What you want to say
Merci.
about?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Merci beaucoup.